Oh dear.
Hmm.
Well, hi everybody, and welcome once again. And today we have Friday, October 11th in the US and Europe, and Saturday, October 12th in Australia. You are watching Bob Eden, the Spiritual Mechanics Show on Cosmic Guardians with host Bob and myself, Anne, and our beautiful host, Karine, right?
Mhm.
So now we are three today. Let's keep you guys busy here, right? Today's topic is when the crying stops, you will be free. Plus your questions if you wish to ask anything. So don't hesitate, don't be shy, just write in the comment section below the videos. Last show on Cosmic Guardians was Cosmic Sisters show will host Corinne and Anne on Wednesday, October 9th, 2 days ago. And we had a special guest Adelina, and we talked about Masaru Emoto and Vera Austin. The sacred dance of water, what water contains, water crystals, and the work of Masaru Emoto. And last show on Bob Eden, the Spiritual Mechanic Show with host Bob and Ann was Friday, October 4th, a week ago, Saturday, October 5th in Australia, right? And we talked about the power of words. I think we have been talking quite a lot about that. It's a really interesting topic and very, very important, right? If you missed our last shows or want to catch up with any of our past episodes, connect with us, or read more about us, you can find all of us at angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians. There are all the links there. You can find Bob there, you can find Karine, you can find me. And we always go live at facebook.com/cosmic guardians and youtube.com/at angel place on earth. So let's dive into today's topic. And I'm really intrigued by this. When the crying stops, you will be free. A spiritual journey. Who wants to start? Bob, I guess.
Yeah. Well, before we start on the topic, um, I'd just like to maybe add to the format, and if you ladies agree, we can do this sort of every week. Is like when I run a group, I just go around the group and just say to each attendee in turn, okay, can you share what's new and good for you
Mhm.
this week? Anything that's new and good. So for me, my new and good this week is that my body is amazing. It 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 is so much smarter than me. The other day, it decided to do a spontaneous stomach cleanse, and I was just blown away. It's like here I am on my journey with prostate cancer and using natural remedies, and it's like I've been building up my immune system to such a level that it said, right, I am now strong enough to get rid of the rest of this crap in this body, and
Mhm.
just did a spontaneous stomach cleanse, and yeah, I'm just blown away by just I, I've got to get out of my own way because my body always knows what it needs to do to heal. So that's my that's my new and good. Ah, how
Wonderful. And you, Corinne, what's your good?
Uh, I've been playing with shadows, and
Ah,
the funny thing is that you work with a shadow, but then it blends in with another shadow, and you don't realize the shadow is still shadowing. And I did some real interesting uh, work this week, and released a shadow that's been following me around for quite a while. And I will tell you, this time there were no tears, There was no sadness. There was only relief. There was freedom. There was it was amazing. So, um, yeah, it was a good week.
By when you say shadow, is that like what I would call a demon, my demons, or no?
No, I refer to it more or less as things that you want to tweak in your own energy, and things that you kind of set aside, and if you put them in the shadow, you can't see them as much. And they just I needed to take it out, do some house cleaning, and as you say, your body did its house cleaning, and every now spiritually you got to get in there and clean house, and
Yeah,
it's so yeah.
yeah, and denial is not a big river in Africa.
Exactly. No, it's not.
Well, it
Yeah.
and there again, a lot of times it's not really denial as much as you thought you had finished the job. And then you go back and you see, oh, well, it's gathering dust here and everything else. I didn't completely clean it. And when you treat it like that instead of, I'm a failure, I didn't do it, it's a whole different story. It's just like, well, there's more stuff that needs to be gone. It's like your body. It said, well, you
Yeah,
thought you'd been doing a good cleanse. Now we're going to show you what a cleanse is really like.
Yeah,
exactly. And the body is going to do what it needs to do. That's fantastic. As
Yeah.
well as when we have our triggers coming to us, we can, as humans, very, very often, we want to avoid something that feels uncomfortable, right? It's a very human thing to do,
Right.
like taking the lazy way around things. But the benefit of grabbing things, grabbing the bull by the horns, is actually that we are dealing with it and we can release it. There's no other
Oh,
way doing
yeah.
it.
I
Yeah.
think the other big block for people is, and for the majority of people, is what stops that process, and that's programming.
Oh,
You
yeah.
Yeah,
know, we're programmed not to go within.
Hmm.
Mm.
exactly. And we are never taught that, actually. We are taught to fit into the world, to become a good citizen in someone else's opinion. I still mean that we are supposed to be good people, but we are all unique and we don't fit in to the same
Mm.
boxes, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what's your new and good, Anne?
My good, actually, I had a wonderful change energetically. So I feel that I did release a few stuff. It didn't come to me specifically this time. So I'm just reaping the benefits this time. So of course that feels
Fantastic.
nice
Yeah.
when you feel you are in the flow and parts of the puzzle are falling into place. So it's like being very busy and a lot of things when you have tentacles all over the place,
Yeah.
but they are coming together and I can see them. And plus, only 2 more weeks until I can start walking on my broken leg. Here we go again.
To be to be walking on your awesome healed leg.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the other thing I was thinking, and you can ponder this for a while and let me know. Um, uh, I would like to start each show with just not today, but in future shows, with just a little recap, a situation report on how I'm doing with my um, dance with prostate cancer and fluoride poisoning.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
like a little sit rep every week, and that might have some mileage in it. But anyway, I think I've waffled on long enough, and
It's
uh,
okay. We have time.
well,
Do a recap.
I'll do a recap. Uh, well, I was diagnosed just before Christmas with very aggressive prostate cancer, and but the guys told me that, oh, it's all okay, it's all confined to your prostate, and we can deal with that, no worries. I thought, yeah, they get the bloody knife out, and then I was still in my programming and that fear, oh, cancer, blah, blah, blah. And so they said, come in for a biopsy. And that's the worst thing I should have done, because after the biopsy, they had another test and said, bad news, the cancer has spread outside the prostate, and it's now, around the colon and looking at the lymph nodes and blah, blah, blah. And just as an engineer, it made sense to me that this cancer had spread, because they'd come into my prostate and bang big holes in the wall with their needles and their samples, which liberated all the bad guys that were in my prostate. And they went, yay, yay, we're free, we're free. We can go where we like. And then I had this choice point in about January, February, like, okay, Bob, you've created this event in your life. What's the lesson you need to learn from it? And the universe just replied straight away, and it said, Bob, it's time for you to put up or shut up. You either fall back into your programming and go into the Western medical model, which means slice and dice, or you walk your talk, which is pursue natural remedies. And so I'd already had a fairly big portfolio of natural remedies, and I just got into them. And over the months, I've been refining them and adding things and taking away and using my body as a laboratory. And now my natural remedies, I feel, are effective. I think I'm making progress. And one of the biggest areas where I'm making progress is in bringing more nature into my life. Like, I had an x-ray that showed my lower spine vertebrae were all arthritic and stuff, so lower back pain in there with the coccyx pain from the prostate cancer. And typically I would have, oh, there's a pain here, I would have gone, grabbed a Panadol or something. But now I'm thinking, no, how can I get nature involved? And so if I do have any back pain, I'll just go out and lie in the sun for a while, half an hour, and it's gone. I don't need to buy a heat lamp. I'm living in the bloody tropics. And I was researching using methylene blue as a sort of an energizer, to get rid of brain fog. And my biggest and cheapest and most enjoyable way of doing that is every day now I take the dog for a swim in the ocean, and that just washes me through. I come out, I could go in there like a dead dog, but I come out revitalized and recharged and ready to go. And so for me, more and more and more, I'm moving away from supplements and mineral remedies and all that stuff, just to maximizing my connection to nature in helping me with my healing journey.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting, Bob, because Wednesday we talked about water crystals, the property, the spiritual healing properties of water, everything of that nature, and the ocean and the salty water and everything. It's fantastic.
One thing I love about it, going in the ocean, apart from being Cancerian, so I have that, I just get a feeling like in Avatar that when I'm in the ocean, I'm connected to every living entity on the planet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Water.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and some of them bite.
Some of them bite, right? Yeah. We can't have everything, can we? I'm just kidding.
Well, you've got things in your ocean that bite a little harder than we do in ours, but it's
well,
but yes.
Funnily enough, it's a topic I want to pursue with another group, the chlorine dioxide group, because in Australia we've got this jellyfish that's about the size of my little fingertip.
Oh yeah, deadly.
It's called the irukandji. It's one of the most lethal toxins on the planet. And you go to the beach there, and they say, if you get stung, treat it with vinegar, treat it like a normal jellyfish. But there is no anti-venin. But I've got an idea that chlorine dioxide could do it. Could be the one. Yeah. So I'm going to pursue that and see if I can get that information out there, because putting vinegar on it is no good.
No.
And I love, because I'm living in a tourist town, they sort of play down the importance or the nastiness of this sting from this little irukandji, but
Oh yeah.
it's horrendous. Anyway, should we have a go at this? What was the topic again?
Hey, we
Water.
talk so much. Yes, no. Yeah, water. But when the crying stops, you will be free. A spiritual journey, the spiritual way of it, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
And
Well,
how we are affected. Maybe programming, because that's programming. We are not supposed to show deep emotions so much, right? Specifically
so
men.
yeah. So just what is just those words are. What is the topic for today? Just the words.
The words, when the crying stops, you will be free.
Stop. Right. When the crying stops, you will be free. And this is just my personal story and how I came to that statement. Going through my inner child work and going back and revisiting every moment of terror. It's like when I was a kid and experiencing those moments, I wasn't allowed to heal. I wasn't allowed to cry or get angry or anything. And so all those terrors got trapped in my body. And the way I look at it is, I just imagine I've got a water tank up here in my brain that's every time there's a moment of terror, it just goes in there, and slowly the tank fills up and fills up and fills up. And then when I'm looking down on top, it's hard to see when the tank's empty, because you just see the level. And the only way I can get a measure of my progress in healing is to view it from the side, and I can see that, like, the more I discharge these old hurts, the level drops, and it keeps, and I have to keep on going until the tank's empty. And so that's been one of the biggest tools in my journey is, okay, I knew I couldn't change my past, but I knew I could heal it. And how I healed it was just through crying, really. Going back to that event in childhood and then staying present with that feeling in the moment, and then just letting those feelings come up, and it's always led to tears.
Yes.
And so just keep crying and crying and crying and crying until my body can't cry anymore. In an appropriate location.
Yeah.
And so for me, that it's just logical that the more of these hurts that I can recall and then release now through the tool of crying, the lower that level of my distress tank is getting. So
Yeah.
that's been my experience of crying. And for me, sometimes I even cry tears of bliss, because
Absolutely.
I'm just blown away
Mhm.
by the magnificence of this life that I create, even with all the challenges, like chronic depression and aggressive prostate cancer. Like, if there weren't these challenges, life would be so bloody boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
No,
Um,
go ahead. It's
no.
interesting.
Go ahead.
Tears,
Sorry.
tears are the body's lubricant. They allow us to process the moving of our emotions so we can move them easily. And when you don't cry and hold those in, as you say, you get all clogged up. And the tears in our body chemically have a different composition for each emotion. They can test the tears, and these are tears of joy, these are tears of sadness, these are tears of terror, these are tears of bliss. And we need that. We need that because with that lubrication, it allows us to then deal with what we're dealing with, and as you say, not stuff it away and not fill that tank. And even we women are taught that tears are not appropriate, uh, and that you gotta be strong for this person. Hey, listen, tears are our tool.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, my tears of joy cleanse my soul, and I can bring myself to that state whenever I want to. And one of the ways I do that is um, being a stage performer. I go and watch America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent, and
Yeah.
then watch these people and what they're doing, and it's so uplifting. I end up there just blubbering in joy at, at finally these people, from school janitors to becoming world famous vocalists because that's all they wanted to do, to sing.
Yeah.
Every one of those shows I watch is so uplifting. So I can get to that stage whenever I feel the need to. Um,
Yes.
or old black and white movies, every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings, and
Hmm.
oh, that's such a magnificent movie. But yeah, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Like find something where you can go to, and that lifts you to that state of joy.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you don't get it by reading the news because good news never made a paper sell.
Oh, exactly. And I think that a lot of people these days are understanding that we have been um, held behind a veil of some sort, right? So now getting rid of all of those things, and specifically when we have, um, I know that I was when I was younger too, because I can cry very, very easy. I have all my senses, so I can cry very, very easy. But you don't want to cry in front of people, do you?
No.
So
Doesn't bother
that
me.
no, it doesn't. Doesn't bother me anymore either. But it used to because I was programmed, right?
Yeah.
And we also feel very, very. It feels challenging to do something that we have been taught to label as something negative, like a negative emotion. Because when you cry, you're sad, right? Or you have something else. So we don't see it in that way as it's supposed to be because it's a very physical phenomenon,
Yeah.
and we heal from it. We do heal.
Well, back in about 85, I was working for SO research, and I just moved to a different department. I was working for a while as a lubrication oil formulation scientist, and all the managers in this company decided to have a survey to see how the staff were doing, and they asked me to carry out the survey. And so I did. I interviewed everybody, and put together a presentation. And then when I made a presentation to the management committee, it was like the message that came back from the staff was, no, we don't want any more money. It will be nice, but we need more engagement. We need more involvement. We need more responsibility. We are not just a pair of hands. And so, like when I gave that presentation, I had tears streaming down my face. And at the end of it, they all stood up and gave me a standing ovation.
Hmm. Because vulnerability doesn't need to be negative. And
Uh,
I love the
it's
way
not.
that you have it here. And I'm going to let you talk about that, Anna. Embracing our vulnerability, because that's what makes us human. That
Yeah.
makes us,
Yes.
we're not statues. We,
No,
we,
we're not.
we are feeling these emotions and we know how to express them. And that's amazing.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that we are being taught, and I probably had a decent childhood. I was seen as a kid. I had a lot of older people with me from the 1800s. Now I'm funny again,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And beginning of the 1900s. But I grew up with, I was very much like, a kid who are old for their age, right? So
Also,
I went to preschool and I came back home and I told my great grandmother, I can't stand the kids. They're so childish. My goodness.
that's right.
And that was me in a nutshell. But actually, I'm happy for that. But there were certain things you were not supposed to, of course, swear or curse, right? Swear, because that's when someone was coming like a big bird man coming in and grabbing you because you were swearing doing something that's not
Mhm.
appropriate. You could show emotions, but not in front of people, right?
Right.
So if you would be sad or cry, you're supposed to go into another room or stuff of that nature. And I think that many people out there, even if we now don't have that part, I don't have any trouble with that anymore. I just be myself, my genuine version. But I think that we should not be ashamed of showing to be vulnerable
Yeah.
or laughing when we feel for it. And sometimes even a laughter can be at the wrong place, but you can't kind of hold it. And I'm kind
No.
of that too. It's getting when you can you please shut up now?
Well,
Because maybe it's not appropriate, right? But anyway, it is important to be, and we should not be afraid of emotions we consider as negative. They are not negative, but we label them as negative because they feel uncomfortable,
Right.
right?
well, this goes back to the power of words. Funnily enough, for me, um, in the 50s, I was born in the 50s. There were two mantras. You know, children should be seen and not heard,
Oh
and
yeah.
and big boys don't cry.
Yep.
Now the
Yeah,
damage the
exactly.
damage that those two phrases have done to our society is immeasurable,
Yeah.
absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
But they were
And,
an accepted part of the culture at that time, and they're still accepted accepted in our culture.
mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a man is supposed to be someone made of iron, not crying, just being strong, showing off very strong and not doing anything else, right? But that's not
Yeah.
true because even men are vulnerable. And we all need to feel free to share those vulnerabilities. If we
yeah.
can't
Well,
share them, you could say that maybe we are surrounded by people who we are not in alignment with, right?
Now the way that they uh, manipulate women is, oh, you're so emotional. You need to stop doing that. So I mean, everybody wants us to become a robot, you know.
Yeah.
But it's you don't have to go out and violently do things, but in the moment, be happy, be joyful, be angry, be vulnerable, enjoy the emotion, and let that emotion be your guide. um, and as I said, there is a modicum of in the right place at the right time, but it shouldn't rule your life completely. It should just be, um, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You sneeze and excuse me, and other things,
Exactly.
you
yeah.
know.
Well, when I was fully locked into my programming and having a very successful headspace life, working in research, I was I realized that I was operating like Robert the robot.
Hmm.
You know, um,
Yep.
an event would happen in my life that was similar to a previous event, and so without any pondering at all, I slipped back into the program and always responded in that original way.
Mhm.
But then I had the realization that no, okay, this new event that I've created in my life is similar to a past event, but it's unique and its own identity. And so rather than react to this, I need to respond to it. And I couldn't respond while I was cut off from my feelings. And
That's
that's
it.
that's what antidepressants are designed to do, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I couldn't really get a clear pathway until I got rid of that barrier between me and my feelings. And now I love my vulnerability. You know, no man or woman is an island, but and I know only I can do it. But there are times when I cannot do it on my own. You know, but we need each other. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, we
if
need each other. We do.
yeah, to hug, to hold, to share our stories. Um, I think it's high time we got back to old ways. It's time we moved from living in competition to living in cooperation.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Good.
Yeah.
Well said.
Wow,
Yes.
that's pretty deep. Hey.
Very
That's
deep.
that's what I have in my relationship um, thing where people are trying to live together in a marriage. It is not a competition. It is a complement. It is a cooperation of two people that are blending together, and society has it. The sex wars, the da 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 da, because they want to keep the odds at in because you can make a whole lot more money on on people fighting with each other than you can on people just saying, "Oh well, you know, it's an interesting day today, so let's just take this day and go to the ocean and let it heal itself." Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
in this spiritual war that I believe we're going through at the moment, the our our attackers have only one real modus operandi, and that's divide and conquer.
divide
And,
and conquer.
and they've set up a society where they don't have to do any of the work because we're doing it all for them
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
through this concept of competition. You know,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm gonna, especially for blokes. Blokes are very reluctant to share their innermost fears because they know that somebody will use that information to climb over them in their bid to reach the top. And what I
Exactly.
find so crazy about this competitive world we live in is that okay, you reach the top. What happens when you reach the top? You are alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You are alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the same in relationships, um, especially men because they're used to working man to man and having to keep that uh, a lot to themselves. If they express that to their spouse and that spouse goes around saying, "Oh well, my person is so wonderful and he cried and he this or she did this or whatever," and that gets out because it is going to get out, you just spread it out there, that will cut through the trust between two people faster than anything else in the world. So it's yeah, you've got to be with a situation where you can be vulnerable in a safe place and not know that vulnerability is just going to be used as fodder for somebody's conversation.
Well, here's a little trick I used. Um, Probably about 95. Um, so I'm 11 years into my addiction to antidepressants. Around about 95, I was working for um, Sarich, uh, the Orbital Engine Company in Western Australia, and my intellect was having a ball, It was leading edge technology on blowing up engines. It was really fun. But one day I just went into work and, "G'day, Bob, how you going?" And I just looked at the guy and say, "Do you really want to know?" And he'd say, "Oh no, just being polite." And then the
Yeah.
next guy would
Oh,
come
yeah.
on. The next guy would come on and say, "G'day, Bob, how you going?" And I'd say, "Do you really want to know?" And he said, "Yeah, I do really want to know." And so by asking this question of the people I met that day and following days, the ones that said, "Yeah, I do want to know," I ended up building my own support group, mutual support group for all these people that were interested in
Hmm.
how other people were faring. And so it was like, by asking that question, I actually gave them permission to be vulnerable, and
Yeah,
we had we
exactly.
had
Be genuine also.
yeah, we had some great lunchtime conversations. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of tears, lots of joy,
Yeah.
lots of connection. There's there's no healing without feeling, is there?
Nope.
No,
And
nope.
it's that simple.
And Anna, I love the way that you say that when we are able to share our tears and share our joys, this is how we connect with others. And that's just exactly what he just said. And they
Exactly.
do. It gives us a commonality, and we have a bridge that we shared with them that maybe no one else did. And when when the tears are really sincere, I find that people that are empathic will also be shedding those tears, because
Yeah.
you there again, the connection. And this is powerful. It's awesome. Yes.
And I think though, by showing yourself, um, being your best version, being genuine, not being afraid of showing yourself vulnerable, that's also something you become like a role model of some sort, right? Because
Mhm.
you can show I do it, so it's going to have a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just, my gaze was uh, turned to the wall, my notice board here, and uh, Marion Williamson's the last paragraph. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we
Hmm.
let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are
Right.
liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others.
Hmm.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
That's
And
it.
that's very, very true, because everybody thinks we learn by someone telling us how to do things or gaining knowledge. Where we learn the most is by watching and by seeing another person and by their example. That is what us draws us in. I can have all the advertisement in the world and it means nothing. But if you see that compassion, if you see that consideration, if you see that thoughtfulness, then you're going to take notice. And that is true. So Bob, I ask you, do you still have some more tears you need to shed?
Yeah, I should be crying until I die.
Well, good. You just call us up and we'll sit here and cry with you. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
That's one thing I learned from the reevaluation co-counseling work that I did. They had this lovely phrase, just talking about one emotional event, and you're really feeling tearful. The guidelines were like, don't cry at home alone, because you're just rehearsing the distress. The most healing thing is to to have your crying witnessed by somebody
Witness,
that,
witness, yes.
yeah, and that is such a powerful healing bridge,
Yeah.
you
To
know.
be seen, to be seen.
Well, I
and
think
to be
uh,
able to feel free in that moment with someone who can see you when you're vulnerable, when you're letting it out. Exactly. Right?
And I've let out a few with you, Anna. I know.
I feel that there is a basic human need, and this just comes from my counselling work, is for the acceptance and validation of one's own reality. And so when somebody's sharing something that's really deep and meaningful to them, and all I can do as a counsellor is just sit there and beam love at them and validate what they're going through, because what they're sharing may seem mad or crazy, to the standard norm, but what they are sharing is absolutely their truth in that moment. And the
Hmm.
best thing
Yeah.
I can do is just to accept it as their truth and validate it as best I can. You know, yeah. We all have these skills. We all have these tools.
But we are not really taught from birth to use them, right? We come in here without a map and a compass.
And
Well,
then we come in, and then everybody has their own opinion of how to use their tools rather than giving us our tools.
Exactly.
well, only I can find my tools. Yeah, and as a spiritual mechanic, I've got a bulging toolbox. I tell you.
Hey, you know, you
I
gotta
bet
you
you have.
you gotta keep adding to them, and you gotta keep using them. You know, you lose you what is it? You don't use it, you lose it. So, yeah, gotta keep flexing those spiritual muscles and uh, and the
Exactly. And I think that, when we allow ourselves to cry because we feel there's something, a memory, something from the past, whatever it is, right? We allow ourselves to feel the pain and we cry. We are not in resistance, because when we are in that place of resistance, that's when we are holding back and we won't let it come out and heal. So when we are resisting something, that's going to continue for a very long time, right? So
Yep.
part of taking pills and antidepressants is probably, it's stopping you, it's preventing you from dealing with it. So you hold on to it for a very long time, right? Because you
Hmm.
don't see it from yourself, right?
Yeah.
Well, my pathway to healing was totally blocked intentionally by the system, by me following my programming and taking those antidepressants for 20 years. There was no way I could heal with that great wall of China between me and my feelings.
Yes. Well, I have a success story for you, Bob.
Yay! Bring it on.
I uh, I have had the privilege and the honor to be working with a client very closely, and as this person went through the different stages of the deep depression, the wherever and whatever, and working through this, and after 2 years, literally is off every antidepressant that they put her on 2 years ago. And I think that is a marvelous time for reward and hard work and perseverance and facing the things that needed to be changed and accepting that they needed to be changed and be willing to change them. You got to have all the elements. You can want to, but if you aren't willing to do it on this level, you're not connecting with the get it done. And so I thought
That's amazing.
that should have been celebrated and run through the streets. Yay! Look what this person did. So it
Yeah.
Yeah.
was it was a real honor, and it still is, to be able to work with this person.
And
Mm.
that is a beautiful story to share, because that's going to inspire others, such as your stories, Bob, right? Talking about it, sharing the stories, letting people know that everything is actually possible. You can heal.
Because
Uh,
I
but
can.
exactly, I can, right?
That's right. Correct.
One thing I've noticed is in all my trials and tribulations, I have found all my own solutions within my own
So,
heart. That's where they, that's where all my answers
yep.
lie. I've found, and how can I say it? I prefer knowing to knowledge. Now, for me, the pursuit of knowledge, you know, needs to be managed by whoever's doing it. You know, but for me, um, and that's all headspace stuff.
Yep.
For me, within this, within the silence of my heart, I found a place that I call my knowing, and my knowing has no words. And it's a
Yes.
feeling of contentment, it's a feeling of connection to source, but it's also a gateway to a place I call the universal library of all that there is to know. And some people call it the Akashic record. And so
Absolutely.
that's where I get, that's where my books came from,
Hmm.
you know, downloaded. Um, and so my connection to this place, because I'm visiting it more and more often, it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And now I really don't need to intellectualize anything because I get more connection just through knowing. And even in the Bible, it said like Adam and Eve got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Well, I can't see them in my garden, but they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden for eating from a tree of knowledge, which
Knowledge. Yeah.
just yeah, it just says to me that the pursuit of knowledge, i.e., science, is the original sin.
Yeah.
And I love this thing. The probably the best thing that Eckhart Tolle ever said was totally let go of the need to understand anything.
Absolutely.
That's such a brilliant phrase, isn't it? It's just like,
Yep.
yeah, I don't need. It's like I've got a computer. I don't need to know how it works. I actually do. Uh, but, or I've got a smartphone, or I've got this, or I've got that. I
Right.
don't need to know how they work. All I need to know is what is their utility? How can I use them best to improve my life?
Exactly.
I don't need
Exactly.
that headspace shit. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, I've
And
got this,
know,
and this is what it can
yeah.
do for.
Okay. So, sorry, I was just eager to talk. But
Go ahead.
anyway, it's a little bit like when we think we need answers to everything, right? We're not going to find out certain answers sometimes in life for certain other people, right? We're not going to. They're not going to tell us, and we're not going to learn from them. Yes, but that's we need to understand that what we need, everything we need, is coming from in here, from ourselves, right?
Hmm.
We have all the answers. If it's going to be necessary for us to know something, we're going to figure that part out. And by the way, Greg Braden says that the heart um, has its own brain system.
It does.
Yeah,
It does. It thinks, and then that connection between the mind and the heart. But it's not the mind. It's not the thinking mind. It's not the, oh, I've got to get up and brush my teeth mind. It is the mind that resides even higher than that, and that's where the magic happens. Yeah. But
yeah,
Bob, I loved it when you said solutions, because
yeah.
That's
literally
that's, that's a
we
Bob
came.
word.
That's a Bob
That's
word. I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm
That's
writing I'm writing it down, Bob. I'm waving at my friend over there to make sure that she writes down solutions,
Yes,
and again
because
that's an example of me casting my own spells.
exactly, because we came here as a soul that is completely able to do everything it's done. It gave us an interesting life because we wouldn't want anything any less interesting. But that's what we came to do, is to reconnect and understand that we are this soul finding the, oh, here's one, the soul that is overcoming the illusions. So
Yes.
solutions.
Yes. A good one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Spell
Oh,
casting, Bob. What can I say? It just happens.
yeah. Well, I love the English language, and I love, like, when I sign off on an email or something. I don't say enjoy. I type enjoy,
Enjoy.
and
I
that's,
N N
yeah,
I N J O
yeah,
Y. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Enjoy.
that's how I sign things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all these.
That
It's all these. It's really, for me, not the big things that are important. It's like a mindset, or a heart set, and it's all the little things that I add to my life that just add so much. It's like having another different flower in the garden. You go, wow,
Yeah,
wow,
that's right.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
It's all the little things that's, I find, are important. Like they say, the devil's in the details, but I say, for me, no. Heaven is in the details.
Hmm.
yes, exactly.
All these little things that add up, that just support my own contentment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's amazing
Right.
how much insight that you can get from watching a little drop of dew move down a leaf and begin to reignite itself into this world. I wrote 3 pages on that. And when you take the
Sorry.
time to notice these things, your world, it gets quiet. All of the commotion and all of the chaos, it's not important when you are observing
Exactly.
the beauty of life. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, the other day I was in my paddling pool hot tub, um, getting my sort of daily dose of carbon dioxide, and there were a row of ants just walking along the side. Some of them were carrying leaves, and I must have spent about 20 minutes watching
Uh-huh.
this army of ants just going about their day, and I was just pondering. I wonder what's going through their minds. I wonder what they're thinking. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And if I focused, it was funny. I focused on one ant who was struggling with a leaf, and it's like he stopped and turned and looked at me. And I thought, what the, you know, what's going on here? I'm connecting with an ant.
Ah, but
Ants are really they're wonderful creatures. We don't
yeah,
want them in the house, right? But we still love
I've
them.
got them all over the place.
yeah.
They
You
keep,
have.
I got green ants, and they keep dropping down onto my keyboard. Well, not keep up there. They often do. Yeah.
Well, I think I'll let you keep your exotic things in your part of the country, and I'll keep mine because mine usually stay further away in the nice desert. They don't come in town anymore. So um, love hearing about them, Bob.
Well, I was cleaning up the yard the other day, and I shifted a pair of a load of old car tires, and curled up in the bottom one. And this is a big truck tire. Curled up in the bottom one was this huge python. Just
Oh,
Oh,
oh, just your everyday python. All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, it
this is Australia.
is Australia. I know. I
Yeah,
know. You have the only spider in the world that can bite through boots. I've done a little research on you, but
yeah,
look at
and
the
also,
people that are coming out of Australia. I mean, they're tough.
and one thing on, I love about that is that spider is really sneaky because it hides under the toilet seat lid.
It
Yeah,
is, right?
Yeah, the redback spider. Yeah.
yeah.
So so in Australia, we
Okay.
always lift the lid before you sit down. So that's a Bob's tip for living in Australia.
Ah, yes. Ah, yes.
I love what you're saying. I hear it. Sorry, I'm just sharing some things here, so we have a little bit to the people with something.
Oh
And
my darn. You're getting back to the topic of the story. Okay. Yes, producer, we will go back to embracing our tears and allowing ourselves to feel deeply.
yeah, but because it's not a weakness.
No.
Um, it's actually the opposite, to be honest. When
Yeah.
you can be your genuine self,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
I think healing is the most powerful thing you can do,
Yep.
isn't it?
It is, and without really becoming your genuine version, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to heal, right? It doesn't mean we can't, but it comes in parts. But letting yourself, um, surrounding yourself with people, maybe first of all, that I trust this person, I can show myself vulnerable. I don't need to put up the wall here, right?
Yep.
That's it. That's important.
Yeah, and I think there's a big difference between walls and boundaries. I think
Oh, very big difference. Yes.
boundaries are essential, and for me,
Yeah.
my boundaries are simply the golden frame around the masterpiece that is me.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
But becoming your best version includes setting boundaries.
It does because you
it's the first
cannot
step.
without them. Yeah.
It's the first step because without boundaries, I don't know where I finish and you begin.
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh. And having said that, I think that about wraps it up for me today. Um, yeah, I'm amazed that we managed to stretch this little thing out so far, and
No, no
just
troubles with that.
and
No.
just and just to uh, yeah preempt the next show. Uh, the topic I would propose, and this is all of the topic. There's nothing else to it. This is the topic for discussion. Uh, Next week, I would love to present on the first 7 years, full stop. That will be the my chosen topic for discussion. The first 7 years. No ands or
After,
buts.
yeah, okay. The first 7 years of one's life, something of that nature, right?
No, no. Just
No,
all I want to
the
see.
first. Okay,
All I want to see in the title is the first 7 years.
the first 7 years. Okay.
Yeah, and then that leaves us because that's an open statement, and we can go.
I'm joking with you.
Yeah, I know. That's
Ah,
yeah, yeah.
the
But
first
it
7 years. Okay.
and it all just aligns with my philosophy of keep it simple, sovereign. You know,
Yeah.
let's I'm trying to keep these topics to be short, succinct, and definitive. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So thank you, ladies. And
And
now I'm going for a breakfast, which I haven't done in years, with
fantastic.
a new friend from my men's group. Uh,
Fantastic, Bob.
Hmm,
That's wonderful.
that is
And
wonderful.
now
And
he's being typical male. He's only giving us a few words to work with here. And now we're going to have to put it all together. Thank you, Bob.
but
the first
actually,
seven
yeah,
years, I have to
yeah,
remember that. I'm
yeah,
going to remember it. Yeah.
yeah. I'll send it to you on Messenger. But for me, I'm not giving anybody anything, and you don't have to work on it. You know, it's like for me, I will front up next Saturday without having worked on anything, and just sit with that topic, connect to my universal library of all that is to know, and allow the dialogue to come through me, so I don't have to do any preparation. That's why I'm lazy, a lazy bastard.
That's perfect, Bob.
That's
I,
perfect.
I
Bye
think
for now.
you got two ladies that kind of do the same thing. So
Good, good. So
Okay.
yeah, so don't stress it out.
No, 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 no. So anyway, are we feeling that we are wrapping it up? So I'm
I
just
think
going to
so.
make a few announcements. That's my part, right?
Yep.
Uh, so thank you, everybody. You have been watching Bob Eden, the Spiritual Mechanic Show on Cosmic Guardians. And today we have had hosts Bob and Anne, and also Mrs. Corrine here with
Thank
us,
you.
right? Uh, Bob Eden, the Spiritual Mechanic Show, go live on Fridays, US and Europe, and Saturdays in Australia. So you can figure out the times if you go to angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians. And our next upcoming show on Cosmic Guardians will be on Wednesday, October 16th, US and Europe, and Thursday, October 17th, with Cosmic Sistar Show and host Anne and Corinne.
Hmm.
We will be talking about something. I'm sorry, I messed up here with my topic. We will be on with you, and you can find what that show is going to be about at angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians. So let's not over talk here. I say love, light, peace, and joy to everyone. What do you
Love,
say,
light,
Bob?
peace, and laughter.
Okay,
Enjoy,
N
enjoy,
I
it,
N J O Y.
enjoy.
enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.